Student friends, in the last period, we studied about one of the oscillatory circuit known as the Hartley oscillator. And we are continuing with the same topic, namely oscillators. And in that, today we are going to study another oscillator to be known as Colpitts oscillator. This is the oscillator obviously given by the scientist Colpitts, and that's why it is known as Colpitts oscillator. It is quite obvious to say that, as like Hartley oscillator, this oscillator also belongs to a radio frequency oscillator because it generates the frequency in a radio frequency range. As it is going to generate the radio frequency, it clearly indicates that it makes use of inductance and capacitors in the tank circuit, as per the classification of oscillators are being considered. Another aspect is that this oscillator also generates the sinusoidal wave at the output. Hence, it is also called as sinusoidal oscillator. Such an oscillator that contains L and C in a tank circuit that generates sinusoidal waves with the radio frequency range is to be referred as the Colpitts oscillator. Friends, if you look at the circuit diagram of Hartley and Colpitts oscillator, if you compare it, almost all the circuit diagram is the same as that of Hartley oscillator, only with the difference that is present in the tank circuit. And that difference is, here tapping is done for the capacitor. Look at here. Tapping is done in the capacitor. That is, center of C1 and C2 both are tapped and it is grounded. In Hartley oscillator, C1 will be replaced by L1 and C2 will be replaced by L2 and L is replaced by C. Only this is the difference. Otherwise, the rest of the circuitry is same as we studied in the Hartley oscillator. Such a Colpitts oscillator consists of a transistor in common emitter configuration. That is, emitter is common for input as well as output. This transistor is biased by means of an voltage divider arrangement formed by R1 and R2. In an active region, so that it is going to act as the faithful amplifier. The R1 and R2 is also called as the resistor divider biasing network, which we already studied in the methods of biasing. Along with this biasing network, it makes use of RE as an emitter resistor. It provides self-biasing to the transistor. Capacitor C1 is going to act as emitter bypass capacitor. It bypasses AC component to the ground. It also includes RC as a collector resistance, or it is equal to load resistance, or sometimes it is being used as radio frequency choke. And the role of this is to avoid the short circuiting of the BJT with high frequency current. It protects the BJT from short circuiting the high frequency radio frequency current. So, to work this entire circuit properly, a VCC as a power supply that can be applied. Along with this, the combination of C1, C2 in series with the ground tapping at the center and inductance L in parallel to that to be referred as the tank circuit. It is connected between output and that of the input. The output of that particular tank circuit is given back to the input through its feedback path. Capacitor C1 couples the feedback signal to the input. Capacitor CO or output capacitor couples generated oscillations in the form of radio frequency current from the collector to the tank circuit. Naturally, the oscillations are generated in the tank circuit as we have studied the working of this particular tank circuit. And generated oscillations are fed back to the input. And when in this circuitry a resonance occurs, when the impedance of this particular tank circuit becomes equal to 0, then in the tank circuit resonance occurs and it will generate the maximum frequency, and that is called as maximum oscillatory radio frequency. The frequency of Colpitts oscillator again going to depends upon the inductance L and capacitor C1 and C2. Friends, the BJT in common emitter configuration provides 180-degree phase shift between the output and that of the input. Whereas this tank circuit produces the phase shift of 180-degree. If this 180-degree phase shift is added back to the input, net phase shift becomes 360-degree. And if this 180-degree phase shift is subtracted from the input, then net phase shift becomes 0-degree. Thus, one of the conditions of Barkhausen criteria is already satisfied here, and hence it provides the positive feedback to an amplifier so that amplifier circuitry is going to be converted into an oscillatory circuitry. Dear students, let us see its working, how it works. When VCC is applied, naturally BJT will be biased in the active region and it starts acting it as an amplifier. A small change in base current produces a large change in collector current, and this collector current passes to the LC tank circuit. At the cost of that, capacitor C1 and C2 will start charging. Now, assuming transistor is on, the polarities developed on the respective capacitors are such that upper terminal of the C1 will have positive polarity, whereas the lower terminal of the C1 has got negative polarity. Lower terminal of the C2 possesses the negative polarity and upper terminal of the C2 possesses the positive polarity. And by this particular way, capacitor will start charging. When capacitor fully charges, as the being L is inductance which is connected in parallel, they will discharge through the inductance L and magnetic flux will be starts building up across the inductance. Meanwhile, the negative charges are being fed back to the input. The transistor emitter base junction of transistor will be reverse bias and it will be turned off. When transistor will be turned off, naturally entire magnetic flux will be developed across the inductance cell till the steady state has been reached. And once the steady state has been reached, magnetic flux will becomes collapsing and collapsing current will pass through capacitor C1 and C2 so that they will start charging with the polarities opposite to that of previous one. During this particular charging, the lower terminal of the capacitor C2 will be charged with the positive polarity. Hence, emitter base junction of the transistor will become forward biased, and again the transistor T1 will be turned on to amplify the input signal, allows collector current to pass through it, and the same process is going to repeat continuously. Thus, the charging and discharging of the capacitor and building and collapsing the magnetic field will generate the oscillations in the tank circuit with the varying polarities. When impedance of this particular tank circuit becomes zero, then in this tank circuit the resonance occurs. Basically it is a LC circuit, so resonance occurs and maximum frequency will be generated. Same maximum frequency signal is given to the input, it is amplified by the amplifier, and that signal is made available at the collector of this particular oscillator. By this particular way, oscillations are generated in this particular oscillatory circuit known as the Colpitts oscillator. We are now going to derive the formula for frequency of the Colpitts oscillator. Under the condition when a resonance occurs in the tank circuit, and resonance will occur provided the impedance of this particular tank circuit will be zero. By putting that particular condition, we can say to occur the resonance in the tank circuit, the total impedance of LC circuit should be zero, and the impedance of that particular tank circuit is given as Z is equal to J omega L, that is the impedance of inductance, 1 upon J omega C1, it is impedance of capacitor C1, that is a reactance, 1 upon J omega C2, it is a reactance of capacitor C2. So sum of reactance of inductance and reactance of the capacitor gives you the total impedance of the tank circuit. Now simplify this equation. Take J omega common, it becomes as L minus 1 upon omega square C1 minus 1 upon omega square C2. That is J omega into bracket L minus, again take 1 upon omega square common, so that it becomes as 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2. Friends, at resonance, to generate the maximum frequency of oscillations, the impedance Z equal to 0. I equate this term to 0. So J omega could not be 0. Therefore, L minus 1 upon omega square into bracket 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2, and that's equal to 0. Therefore, now L equal to, transfer this term to the right side. L equal to 1 upon omega square into bracket 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2. That is 1 upon omega square into bracket, by taking the LCM, we can get C1 C2 upon C1 plus C2. That is the net capacitor. 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2. That comes to be 1 upon C. Have to remember. That comes to be 1 upon C. Because the formula is 1 upon C equal to 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2. So that becomes equal to 1 upon C equal to C1 plus C2 upon C1 C2. If you reverse it, we can get C is equal to C1 C2 upon C1 plus C2. We have utilized that particular concept here. So that's why we can write it by transferring the, rearranging the terms. We can write it 1 upon omega square equal to, transfer this term to the left side, that is L one upon omega square is equal to L into C1 C2 upon C1 plus C2. Therefore, omega square is equal to 1 upon L into C1 C2 upon C1 plus C2. Therefore, omega is equal to 1 upon square root of 2 L into C1 C2 upon C1 plus C2. But we are aware that omega is equal to 2 pi f. That's equal to 1 upon square root of L into C1 C2 upon C1 plus C2. Which one can write it? F is equal to now 1 upon twice pi root of L into C1 C2 upon C1 plus C2. By substituting now C is equal to C1 C2 upon C1 plus C2, we can write it F is equal to 1 upon 2 pi root of LC, where C is equal to C1 C2 upon C1 plus C2. Friends, this is what we can call it as it is the frequency of the Colpitts oscillator, which clearly indicates that frequency is going to depend upon inductance and capacitor, and this C is going to depend upon C1 and C2 in the tank circuit, which can be calculated as C is equal to C1 C2 upon C1 plus C2. Thus, at resonance, this frequency will be maximum, and that is what we can call it as it is the frequency of oscillatory circuit. As we already studied that the phase difference between tank circuit is 180 degree, the phase difference between common emitter amplifier is 180 degree, so that net phase shift is either 360 degree or 0 degree. Hence, there is a positive feedback which is established. So, one of the condition of Barkhausen criteria is satisfied. To satisfy the another condition, and that is KAV should be greater than or equal to 1, the current gain of this particular transistor, that is HFE, is equal to C2 upon C1. If the value of C2 upon C1 should make to be equal to HFE, then we can say the condition KAV should becomes equal to greater than 1. Hence, both the conditions are satisfied so as to sustain the oscillations in the tank circuit. Friends, this is the oscillator that generates the frequency in a radio frequency range in a sinusoidal nature, that is known as the Colpitts oscillator. This oscillator is used as a local oscillator in a receiver, or it is used as a carrier frequency oscillator in transmitter for the purpose of the modulation. So that's all about the Colpitts oscillator. Next time we'll go for next type of the oscillator.